Well, welcome everyone. Just a reminder, this is the final class of the year. And so I wish you all happy holidays, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever happens to be your thing. And look forward to all reconvening on January 5th. And I don't think anything's gone out about it yet, but will soon. So the Vipassana retreat it's a 3-day retreat. I think it's the 13th, 14th, and 15th, approximately. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that will be on Zoom. And usually the way this works is we get an influx of new people into the Qigong class after that retreat. So okay, let's begin. We don't want any of these practices to become automatic. So if you kind of notice you're just kind of daydreaming um, as you're doing it, then change it. Make it more interesting. Give it more energy in some way. There are variations on this Taiji twist. Uh, One of them is actually um, kind of gently hitting your body with your hands front and back. Oh, you know what? I think we'll do something we haven't done. There's a whole series of it's a whole series of practices that I don't know what they call them. I call them thumpings. Um, and let's reduce this here. And they're done with loose fists. Uh, and you don't grab the thumb. You just make a normal fist, a loose fist. And one of the ones I've done most, one of the best ones, um, is tapping what they call the gua. It's the inguinal crease. It's where the thigh meets the torso. So it's those creases there, and that's of course where a lot of lymph nodes are. And so the practice is just tapping, but in order to move um, the lymph doesn't have something like the heart to move it, so it just moves by muscle movement. And so the lymph is pushed through. So when we're sort of sitting down like this, we're moving the lymph, and then we're stimulating the lymph glands that are in the inguinal crease. And you can kind of thump yourself like in the front, and then a little higher up, maybe to the side too. And this is said to be very, very good for wellness, which I believe it is, keeping the lymph flowing. And Gabrielle Byers taught this a lot many years ago at the Taiji Center. And then you can move the tapping. I guess it's called tapping. I always call it thumping, but I guess it's called tapping. You can move it sort of down, uh, and it just stimulates the muscles. And then there's, you go down the front, and then if you widen the stance a little, then there's one where you're not bouncing now, but you're tapping the insides of the legs. And then the outsides of the legs. And the inguinal crease. So there's a lot more to that, but it's a nice warm-up actually, and so when you stop, it kind of feels activated, doesn't it? It kind of feels more tingling and energized. So that when we do this, we're continuing to stimulate the gua by turning and dipping down. We're closing and opening the crease, and that's pumping the lymph. Okay, so and let's just take a moment and drop into our stance. Now, if you want to, if you need a little more intention here, is to do standing mountain, so that the arms get a little bit stiff, the hands and fingers get a little bit stiff, and pointing down, making a triangle. That will actually bring you the attention out of the thinking mind and into the body, because the intention, we're pointing down, and so our mind, our consciousness tends to follow where we're pointing with our arms and our hands and our fingers. And then you can use it slightly rigid, but it's okay because it's a concentration practice. It's focusing. And then you can, while remaining in standing mountain, you can adjust your posture. Push the belly out a teeny bit, bring the shoulders back a teeny bit, drop the chin a little bit, and then rediscover that vertical alignment. And then maybe once you feel like you have it, you can let go of the stiffness, and then the hands will sort of turn in and the palms face each other. And this is called standing position 1, meditation posture. But we're going from intentionally dropping the mind down into the lower body, into the earth. Now the palms are facing each other. So the attention now is in the body, more in the body. And then as the breath deepens, we can drop down and relax. And then the elbows kind of naturally bend a little bit, the wrists just a little bit. It's just, we're not doing it on purpose, we're just relaxing. Okay, very good. Now let's go ahead and bow to the direction, starting with the east. We'll dip the knees. In breath as the hands come up. Palms can be touching or slightly apart. Out breath as we bend. In breath as we come up. And then turning to the south. down to the west. And finally to the north. Back to the screen, and then above. Below. Okay, and then here the palms can be laying on the body or slightly in front. Okay, so it's beginning with the top of the head. Let's go into the 3 backwashes. And then just as the head begins to lift up, the hands start to move. And when the hands pass the face, then that's when the little smile appears. And then this is the opposite of standing mountain. We're actually stretching and extending attention way up. And then slowly falling down. Sink the knees. Point to the earth again. Now the intention to come back up. Second, tree and spring. The attention is going up the center of the body or the spine, inside of the spine. Up, out, the head, extend. Okay, and then attention to the top of the head again, and repeat. Out breath. At your own pace. Okay, very good. And then when you're ready, let's just go into loosening the neck and shoulders. The ancients had this broken down into the the crane, where you're circling the chin forward, and then the turtle where you're circling it the other way. And those were two distinct things. And then with the shoulders, they did the circles, circling the shoulders, starting small and getting bigger, just letting the arms be heavy. These are distinct practices, and they are, and that's fine. I tend to sort of put them all together. Uh, and you can alternate the shoulders if you want, or do them the same. And just sort of loosening up the whole upper back, shoulders, head, neck, just loosening up the whole area at once. With the circling of the shoulders, you do it both directions. Okay, and then this is opening the chest and opening the back. So we sit down. So now opening the chest, in breath. So arch the back, look up. And now we think of this as closing, but this is opening the back. Think of opening the shoulder blades. So this is opening the chest, the lungs, the heart, the rib cage. And then this is opening up the spine and the shoulder blades. So opening up the back, opening up the front. So we're not really closing anything. It's just we're opening the front, and then we're opening the back. And when we bend over, we're opening the spine. Okay. And then if you're familiar with opening the 7 gates, we're opening all 7 of the gates at once. Okay, let's do a couple more. Okay. And then rocking the pelvis. It's kind of sticking out the belly and then pulling in the belly, or arching the back and then flattening the back. Now, you don't need to use your hands. It's just that it's helpful if you're not real familiar with this. It's helpful to, you can actually even push with your hands. It's helpful to learn it. And it does bring attention to the area for sure, but it's not necessary. Okay, and then circling the hips. This involves, the knees, the thighs. This involves a lot more of the body. And what we want to do is keep the hip joints flexible. If you have just a little teeny bit of pain here, that's okay. If it's just a little. We just want to keep these from getting stiff, particularly as we get to a certain age. Our hips tend to stiffen up, and that leads to all kinds of problems. So if we even just do this once a week, it'll keep them from stiffening up so quickly. And then, you know, you go both directions, of course. Okay, and then the other one uh, has to do with balance, and we know that falls are really one of the main causes of injury, particularly in people who are in their later years. Um, so let's go ahead and sink the knee, sit down on one side, and then lift the other leg. Now, Patricia Yu teaches this. You don't need to take your toe off the floor. That's okay. The main thing is to shift that alignment so that it's over the weighted foot. If you're confident, then you can lift the unweighted foot. You can do whatever you want with it. And then the secret to this, one of them, is don't lift the foot until you're certain that you're stable. And then the other one is, if you're a little tippy, bend the knee a little more. Sit down a little more. Maintaining our balance, you know, is vitally important as we're aging. But training the body to be balanced also is training the mind to be balanced. And we can actually improve our balance as we get older. Okay. Okay. All right, very good. So tonight we're going to explore the beginnings of projecting the qi. Now, projecting the qi is the basis for the healing arts, for the qi healing arts, and it's also the basis of self-defense. So I only teach what I know, and I know this to be true. I've experienced being in the presence of master practitioners and being able to feel them exerting force on me. And the qi healing, if the person is really a master, they can actually not only feel their qi and not only regulate it and cultivate it, they can express it. So as far as Western science, this hasn't been investigated much, but it will be, and they'll figure out how this actually works. But it does work. And the first step for this is just to stand in alignment and really, really imagine and feel. This is very key. Imagine and feel that center line, that either that it's an energy beam, like a laser beam from the center of the earth up through the body, out the top of the head, or it can be a column of light going from the center of the earth infinitely up that contains the body. So that's the kind of the visual, but the sensory, the tactile is more important, and that's how it feels. So we can feel when we're aligned. When we become aligned, the body relaxes and usually it takes a deep breath when it drops into that state of alignment. The chin slightly dropped, little uplift at the top of the head. So we have that sense, and once we have that feeling, then we can move our attention anywhere on this vertical column or line. And we can do that. Can do that with our eyes. So having our eyes closed or partly closed, and we turn the eyes in. Normally they look straight ahead. We're going to turn them 180 so they're looking in. And we can look inside the body and sort of move our attention, let's say, down to the heart area. And so we're feeling that. And then we cast our eyes down more and move our attention down into the belly. And then down farther to the perineum, lowest point in the torso. And down the legs and down to the feet. And so here we're asked to imagine having roots in the ground like a tree. Okay, we can imagine it, but we tend to imagine things up in our brain. So we can imagine that, but that's kind of just the command for the sense of touch to extend beyond the body into the earth. So the question I always ask is, what would it feel like to have roots in the ground? What would that project, how that would feel to have that? Really feel it. The roots can grow, they can expand and move in all directions. What would it feel like to have these roots in the ground? Okay. So let's just come into a standing meditation now. We have the roots in the ground. So just open your eyes, look around, see what's around you, and focus on a particular object that's in your space. And imagine what it would feel like to reach out and touch that object. How would it feel? I mean, really like grab it, or not just touch it with your fingertip, but really contact it. Look at an object and imagine touching it and feeling it. Okay, so we can do this. And then once you've done it with that object, move to another object. What would it feel like to, if my arm was long enough, if I could just reach out and really grasp that, how would that feel? Okay. Good. Now let's go to a third object, maybe your other hand. What would it feel like to just, your rubber man or whatever, you extend your arm, and what would it feel like to really grab that or feel that object? What would it feel like? Okay. So, and come back now and bring the attention back into the body. Remember the roots. So we do this all the time. In fact, this is how our senses work, right? So if we can imagine what it would feel like to touch a familiar object around us, we can imagine what it would feel like to extend our sense of touch in any direction and as far as we want. It's the same thing. Okay, now let's go to the next sort of level of this. So now just close your eyes if you would, or mostly closed. I'm going to ask you to imagine an apple and just see it real clearly. Okay? Now imagine what it would feel like to hold that apple. Okay? Now imagine what it would feel like, what it would be like to smell the apple. And what would it be like to bite into the apple and eat some of it? What would that feel like? Okay. All right, let's let that go. So we can not only do this with objects in our environment, we can do this with objects we imagine, objects that aren't even physical. We can actually extend our sense of touch into the non-physical realm. It's not a stretch, it's easy. In fact, what our brain does is it filters out all these perceptions. If you look around the room, if you don't linger on anything, you're not feeling it. But as soon as your gaze lingers on something, if you want to do something, you can imagine what it feel like to touch that, and that, and that, and everything around you. And so we're constantly being overstimulated, aren't we, by what we see, smell, hear, feel, touch. And so what the brain does is it filters it out because we can't deal with it all, right? But our sense of touch is engaged all around us all the time. Okay, that's just how it works. All right. So now the next step is for us to use our intention to direct that extended sensory perception. Okay, this is not a stretch at all. I call it ESP, extended sensory perception. So let's go back into our standing posture. Let's start with standing mountain. What would it feel like to be a mountain? Hmm? How would it feel? Okay, what would it feel like to be a tree? Okay, and so let's drop our attention down beyond the body, extend our perception down, and imagine that we had roots in the ground. It's just like the apple. We're imagining we have roots in the ground, and what would it feel like? So now, when we see a tree, um, if we look at it a little bit, we can imagine what it would feel like to be that tree. Not only the tree we can see, but the parts, the roots that we can't see. Okay? Okay, very good. Very good. Now just relax a bit. Now let's just take our dominant hand and point to the earth right in front of us. Down, straight down. Okay, so we're extending our attention's following the arm, the hand, the finger. It's following it way down. We're pointing where our attention is. And now let's dip the knees. Now let's point the finger toward the body and slowly move it up. What is it feeling like in the body where we're pointing? Okay, we get up to the neck, head, we're pointing to the inside of the head. Now we're pointing up, out through the top of the head, we're pointing up to the universe, extending our attention way, way, way up. And then let the hand come down or pointing outward now. Now our attention is going around, all around the body. Okay, good. And now other hand pointing down. Now you can imagine a laser beam coming, originating in the center of the earth, up through the middle of the body, up to the heart, out the arm, out the finger, and pointing in the body. And that laser beam of light, of attention, is lighting up. It's lighting up the body. And then as we look up and point up, it's sending this beam out into the cosmos. Then as we turn the hand and point forward and come down, we're just creating this field all around the body. We're sensing it. Okay? Good. Now we're going to stand with the palms facing. What does it feel like? Each palm is feeling the other one. And now this laser beam from the center of the earth up to the heart and out the arms is making a complete cycle. So we're actually holding this life force energy in this body. Okay, now next one, dip the knees. Let's bring both hands up at the same time. Okay, and now as we come up the head, out, now we're going to turn the fingers out. We're going to express this. We're sending our attention out in all directions. We're feeling out all around us. Extended sensory perception. It's not limited to the body. Okay, and down into the earth. And now repeat. We're feeling the palms, we're feeling inside the body, lighting up the body, connecting with the cosmos, and then sending that energy, that chi out in all directions in a field around the body, a field that doesn't end. Okay. Keep pointing in one more time. We're raising the chi from the earth, the belly. We're raising it to the chest. We're raising it up into the head, out the top of the head. And then we're communing with the galaxy, with the cosmos, collecting that light, the light of the stars, and now sending this out in all directions, radiating, okay, projecting. Okay, very good. And now let's bring the hands up to the heart. And feel this palm to palm connection. It's almost magnetic, where you reach a point where there's this kind of resistance, because it's as if each hand is radiating, and when they get too close, they kind of find this place where they just kind of hang out. Okay, and now let's see if we can sort of stretch that, maintain that connection. This is imagined and felt. Okay, so one hand would be up by the head and the other one down by the perineum. And the hands now sort of move that connection into the body. And then extend that down to the earth and up to the heavens. Okay, and now let's bring the hands closer together. Okay, and now it's sort of working with the field. Let's do cloud hands. So go in the direction of the upper hand turn and switch. Now, we're keeping the connection between the hands and then the awareness inside the body and also the field around the body. It's like we're doing this in a cloud or in the fog, which is our kind of extended awareness around the body. And then just let this become free. Okay, very good. Let's reduce the movements. Okay, now one hand at the heart, the other at the belly. Now you may feel this kind of, you don't really want to touch the body. When you start getting close, there's kind of this little bit of resistance. Then extend the attention inside the body. Just feel the aliveness. All right, and then back to standing. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up our stool, our chair. And then again, just recreate that vertical alignment that you can feel. Now, no matter where our attention is, there's energy, there's chi there, there's awareness, consciousness. So if we put our attention into feeling the movement of the body with the breath, for example, and we're feeling the effect of the air on the body. It's very internal. Now we can shift our attention to the whole body, the posture of it, and so on. Okay, and now with the next out breath, we just extend our sense of touch through the pores of the skin around the body. Front, back, left, right, up, down. With the in-breath, we concentrate the attention in the body. Out-breath, we extend the attention beyond the body. And then as the sense of the body becomes less solid, that is, our attention in the area around the body increases. The boundaries of the body become fluid. We're aware of the sensations of the body, but we're not restricted to that. With the out breath, we get bigger. The uh, the field around the body is identical to the space in the mind. The physical body is within the field of consciousness. The body tends to solidify with the in-breath and disperse with the out-breath. Now, this field of awareness is in every cell in the body and around the body, so we can put our attention anywhere. We put it in the body, in particular parts of the body, or just around the body. And the field of awareness can get very big. And so this isn't my awareness, it's just awareness. It's not my body, it's just a body. And this might evoke a little smile. And we want to have the sense of bigness, also check the posture of the body. Okay, let's take a few more breaths. And then just slowly move the fingers and toes. And okay, very good. Let's go ahead and do our closing. And we start, clap the hands one time, make heat. And be careful not to touch your eyeballs here. We're just massaging the sockets around the eyeballs. And then use the fingernails, comb back the hair. Tug on the ears. Massage the temples. And make our loose fists. Tap the kidneys. And massage the kidneys. Okay, well, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for your practice. It benefits everybody. And if you'd like to slip away, please do that. If you want to stay for a conversation, you can do that. For those of you who are leaving, we'll see you again January 5th, if not before. Thank you for your practice.